Hi everyone, so welcome to Investing for Value. So today I want to talk about Fuelcell Energy. So currently the share price is $2.73, giving a valuation of $575 million. If we date this back 5 years ago, the share price used to be worth well over $100, and now we're looking at less than $3. So there's a big dramatic decrease in value in terms of this company. So if we look at the history of this company, back in 2013, 2014, they had about 180 million in revenue, and over time it's just dramatically decreased because they just had a very, I guess, flawed model in the fact that they would basically build power plants for certain companies. After that, they would look for new contracts, and over time, those contracts just really kind of just dried up in terms of the revenue they generated annually. But now I think this company is particularly interesting because it looks like it's kind of found a new model in terms of the reoccurring model that helps its revenues stay more consistent and increases over time rather than building and then finding new projects. And over time, if they don't find enough projects to compensate for that, things just don't look as great for this company, as well as the big cash burn that this company has spent on R&D because they are building some really good technology. The problem is it just costs so much money. So there's one of Warren Buffett's fears that you don't want to invest in companies that have such a high burn when it comes to R&D, but can't compensate that in terms of revenue. And Fuelcell is one of those companies. For a long time, it was kind of that company. But now that their technology is up to speed, they don't have to spend so much on R&D, they're able to reduce that cost, and now they're able to focus on a reoccurring model. And also, given the current time when we're looking for efficient technology that's clean, this is the type of company that kind of starts to stand out. So we look at the revenues back in 2017, 2018 in this annual report. You can kind of see the product sales were extremely high, but now we look at 2019, and all of a sudden it's just dropped off completely. Well, they've gone from the whole idea of basically building these power plants, and then basically, yeah, just doing a little bit of servicing on the side. Now they've completely changed their model to a service agreement and license revenue agreement. So during 2018, it was a transition, and in 2019, we saw these revenues come up to the 2017 situation. And then we look at the generation revenues, and they are looking pretty good, having gone double of 2018. So if we look at generation revenue, they used to be consistent around the 7 million mark, and now that they know how to make extra money from that, they're doing quite well, as well as advanced technologies and contract revenue, where these guys start to understand what they actually have is a really strong moat around their technology, rather than just continuously building these power plants for the people and just servicing them on just a side basis. So now that they make the servicing side the stronger part, this actually builds really well for the future of this company. And that's what kind of has me more excited about this company rather than what they were previously doing, which was eroding so much value from this company. And it kind of demonstrates in their recent quarter where the revenues were 18.9 million revenue, having increased 105% compared to 9.2 million the prior quarter in the year, from the same quarter last year to be exact. And we're looking at the loss from operations is 8.1 million, and that's compared to last year when it was 17.6. So it's kind of a really stark contrast in a previous year, and this it kind of gives you a bit more assurance that this company is slowly making its way to break even. So we look at the EBITDA, that it was 3.3 million for this quarter, compared to 14.5 million in quarter two last year. And then if we look at the contract backlogs, they still have 1.34 billion, having increased the project that revenue that they can do by 18 million. So this company is not short of contracts, that's one thing for sure. But the problem is in the past when they managed to have a massive backlog of contracts. But the problem is once they built it, they just didn't have much recurring revenue from that, and they just had to continuously do all this hard work, and they didn't utilize their technology in the best way. Now that they understand how to best utilize their technology, they're starting to see the benefits. They were starting to see it last year, right here, and I think this year they're going to see it even more. And I kind of have a bit more confidence, particularly when you look at the fuel cell market. So if we look at here, we're in 2020, right? And last year the revenue, the market size for this was about 10.48 billion, which, you know, kind of gives you an idea of how big this part here is. And then when we look at 2027, it grows massively, right? And they kind of expand a bit more on this article here, where they say it's worth about 33 billion revenue in 2020. So this part here is about at least triple this area here. And it's kind of it's kind of like when you buy into this company, you're buying into this like massively growing market, because in the past we kind of had this part here where it didn't grow as quickly and it was like a lot of competition. As we go forward now, there's a big demand for it, and you know, everyone in the market's going to do well. It's kind of like a rising tide lifts all boats. And as we come down here, we can kind of see the key players in this market. So if we look at the key players, you'll notice Fuelcell Energy just comes straight up, along with Ballard Power Systems, another listed company. And then, yeah, like if we take on this list here, there's actually at least a couple of listed companies like Plug Power that I'm also familiar with. So, you know, there's quite a lot of companies, but the market is massive, and all these players are likely to do quite well going forward. And if we also look at the cash situation of this company, they have about 29 in cash equivalents and 8 million also in restricted cash and equivalents, so about 37 million in the current asset part and about 36 in the long term, giving it about 70 million, though we still have to consider that they have about 176 million in the long-term debt, but long-term debt of course is long-term, so it's not too much of a worry in this current situation. And it looks like they have enough money for this year at least to survive and not require too much extra funding, and it should kind of put them on a road to breaking even, and hopefully by next year they can become a profitable company if their current model serves them very well. So if we take it back to this situation, I kind of feel like this company is kind of undervalued for the proposition that it's in this current situation where it's growing its revenues very well again, and it's growing them in a market that's growing very well. So we have to consider that in the future, this makes to be a very good long-term company. So this is kind of a company that I took a bit of a shareholding in, and it kind of gives me a bit of confidence that this is the type of company you can hold for the long run, especially in this kind of market. So what kind of makes this even more extraordinary is, given this current situation where the whole world is at a standstill, you still have this company that's actually increasing their revenues in such a way that it makes the situation, you want to actually know what's going on. And if you looked at this, you would think, oh, the business is thriving, it's doing really well, and yeah, it's great because all these are contracted revenues to large companies, and everyone at the end of the day still has to use power regardless of the situation happening around the world right now. And I can kind of be sure that things kind of look like they are on the right track. They're going to be growing well, and as a company, it's undervalued, so I think short term it should probably be about a $4 company this year, and just keep growing forward as this market keeps growing and the demand for this company continues to increase. After all, they do have a $1.3 billion amount of backlog when it comes to the existing projects they have to complete. So they're not short of work, and I imagine they're just going to keep growing as time comes. So let me know if you have any questions. This, or if you, yeah, like if this company interests you, or I'm always interested to hear your perspective. Maybe you were a past shareholder, like if you were a past shareholder in 2015, yeah, how do you feel about this current situation? Do you feel like there's a massive contrast compared to what this company is in the past to what it is now? Or, yeah, if you're particularly interested in the new alternative energy markets, particularly if we watch the recent share price rise of Nikola, and you can see that the prospect of hydrogen um, is it's a growing market, then this company might interest you too, because they do specialize in this area as well, because at the end of the day, fuel cells, they're actually brilliant for hydrogen. So if the hydrogen market grows, it actually bodes very, very well with this current company. So yeah, that's kind of what has me excited, that it's growing on all directions. Yeah, this is basically going to be a rising tide, and it's going to lift this boat along with plenty of others. So that's kind of what makes me want to talk about this company over some other companies, given the valuation of this company. If we look at, say, the other companies like Plug Power and Ballard Power Systems, you can see Plug Power is at a 1.6 billion valuation, and Ballard Power Systems at a 3.3 billion valuation. So Fuelcell is by far the cheapest one, though, of course, we're not going to do it purely if it's the cheapest, but I do love the technology, as well as all these too. So, I've done a video a while back on Plug Power, and I also thought they were going to be a company that would do really well. And I kind of see them being at least past 2 billion in valuation. So in terms of undervaluation, probably not that undervalued in this current situation, though I feel like fuel cell is much more undervalued, hence why I see a bigger risk reward in this company right here. Yeah, so let me know if there's any questions you have about these companies, or, it's always interesting to hear your perspective. Until then, good luck investing, everyone.